Hey, who day, everybody. Welcome to Who Day Over 40, the long-term Cincinnati Bengals podcast. Who day, everybody. We are literally 8 days away from Super Bowl 56 as our Cincinnati Bengals, head out to Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Rams. It's been a whirlwind week. We're going to talk a little bit about that, talk some of our earlier thoughts on the game against the Rams. And I have a poll question that I put on Twitter and, get some feedback from you guys once you listen to this on the line tonight. It's Big Hutch. Big Hutch, what's happening?
Hello, all you happy people.
If you're watching on YouTube, you don't really see him. He's faded into the background of his background picture. You can't actually see him, so you just see the logo, which is fine too. He probably
Yeah,
prefers it that way.
I'm here. Trust me, I'm here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Shouts
trying
out.
to save your screen time.
There you go. Shouts out Sandman. Man, we saw your picture after the game. You got your Chase jersey, man. Who day, brother. We miss you. We love you. And we know we'll get you back on here soon enough. But anyway, so 1 week out, Hutch. How's this week been for you? It's been a lot.
Surreal
Yeah.
is the one word that comes up. It's
Mm.
I think I really think the football season's over with. But
But
in reality, I know there's one more week to go.
in the last 5 years, and we've been doing this podcast probably a little bit around that time, maybe even longer, informally, that the Bengals at this point we'd be talking about who they're going to draft. I mean, a few years ago it was like, why hasn't Marvin been fired? And then under the first 2 years of Zach Taylor, like, well, who are they going to draft? Because we've been talking draft probably since November.
Yeah,
Like, well, who are they going to get? Who are they going to sign? They got to do something. They got to do something. Hadn't thought about the draft, honestly, not really. And the Senior Bowl is going on literally, I think, right now or earlier today. Haven't thought about the Senior Bowl. Like, oh, Bengals are coaching it one year, like under Zach Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, it's just none of those things that would be getting you straight to the offseason for non-playoff teams. We're already mixed up in that, but nothing at this point.
yeah, I'm not Senior Bowl, right? I haven't paid any attention. I'm pretty sure what we're going to address next season, no matter what. But I I mock draft. I mean, most of it beyond shit. The second pick is pure speculation anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and even more so when you might be picking 31 or 32.
Yeah. It's wild, think about that and think the league year starts on like March the 2nd or something like that, like less than a month after the Super Bowl. I mean, so the Bengals, when they win, are going to go straight into the offseason. Like, I mean, it's like 3 weeks later and you're already in the offseason trying to figure out who's coming, who's going. They have some contracts that they're going to need to fix, re-sign, do whatever. They have, I think, the fifth largest amount of cap space going into the offseason, upwards of $60 million, and that's without, cuts to some people that are going to get cut.
Right.
So
And we're probably going to lose one coach, offensive
yeah.
defense.
Well, I think that keeps coming up, but I don't think so. Like, I think most of those, what positions are still even open at this point?
There are a
New,
lot of feelings
New
today or
Orleans.
yesterday.
Well, New Orleans is open still.
That's
Denver
just
is still open.
right.
Um,
I think the Bears and
no, the Bears have been filled.
um the
Bears have been
Jacksonville got
Jacksonville. No,
got
they took
Doug
Doug Purdue. Yeah,
Peterson.
Peterson. Yeah. So I think there's maybe only a couple of positions in Houston. I
Yeah,
think those are the only positions that are still left. Well, I guess in Minnesota, I guess now that no, they hired that young kid. I think they hired somebody with no never called the plays and like 36-year-old kid. Yeah.
sounds like somebody we know.
Just curious about that since he never called the plays, but he's going to get a head coaching job. Anywho, all right. So yeah, so it's been a real week. I've binged on everything, every Bengal podcast you could think about. I've binged it all, man. I've listened to every episode prior to the Kansas City game. I didn't listen to a lot of those episodes. I went back and listened to those episodes too, the previews for the game. I'm pretty full on Bengal information and knowledge. So let's look at some of the news from the week thus far. The Bengals are going to head out to Los Angeles on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. But they've been practicing in Cincinnati. It's been a bad snowstorm in Ohio too. Um, uh, so they had to go to the facility at UC to go inside the dome to practice. We're going to talk about that in a little bit too. So yeah, there's that. At the end of the game, the Bengals opened up at, was it 4.5-point underdogs against the Rams, or did it open at 3.5?
I think it started at 3, and now
Okay.
the people got it to 4.
Yeah, so a lot of money out on the Rams. It makes sense. They're playing at home, technically. So it's not a surprise. Plus, they have all the stars. So it's not surprising that a lot of money is moving that way. Injury news. There's two real major ones. All the other ones are what they are. The first one is the last couple of days. Right guard Jackson Carman has missed the last 2 days of practice. He participated full on, I think, Wednesday, but he missed or Thursday, and he missed Friday and today with a back issue. That's only an issue because him and Hakeem Adeniji were rotating snaps in Kansas City. And with Aaron Donald coming to town, you may either want to rotate them in for some consistency, but it also tells you just how much of a hole and a shit hole right guard is at this point, huh?
That whole right side is but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yes, yes, Mr. Donaldson will enjoy trying to kill them.
Yeah. My thought is that actually you probably want Jackson Carman to play in that position because he's bigger and he's stronger than Hakeem Adeniji. He doesn't have the experience, but he's not as light in the ass. And I think not being light in the ass is probably at least somewhat of an advantage in that situation. So I think they're probably hoping to have him in there for more snaps, but who knows? But yeah, that's obviously a spot that still needs to be fixed. The other injury news would be CJ Uzama, who sprained his MCL in the game against the Chiefs. Did not look good going off on the cart and crying, and then back on the sidelines on his crutches for the celebration. But that first MRI came back and there was no structural damage. It was just a sprain in the MCL. Yeah, obviously, he's not going to practice this week, but they are holding out hope and optimism that he is actually going to be able to play in the Super Bowl, Hutch, and that would be a huge, huge boost.
Yeah, him coming back would be great. That would be real cool.
Yeah, and even if he pulled a, oh God, what's that dude from the Knicks?
You pulled it out a couple weeks ago.
I did. Oh shoot! Now I forget.
Walt Frazier.
No, not Walt Frazier. The other one. God dog it. Now I can't remember after I dropped that. Well, yeah, it could be a symbolic gesture where you come off the bench and you only play a couple of plays and snaps or whatever, but the boost that it would give your team just knowing that you would risk it all, to do that. In the same breath, since you only can dress 47 people, do you risk that putting him out there when he's not actually able to fully produce the way, at least at 75% of what you would want? You would have the extra lineman up or something as opposed to having him out there. What do you think?
Is it Willis Reed?
That's it. Yes, Willis Reed. Yes.
Anyway, that would be cool to have if he can. I think he's better than Sample.
Think,
yeah. Hopefully they can chip block or whatever, or do something. If you're going to suit up, get out there and play.
Well, I mean, I said this to you earlier today that, I mean, you got 2 weeks to try to figure something out. It's not like it's a week. Obviously, there's needs to be some version of familiarity, which we'll talk about here, with Zach Taylor coming from that staff. So something should be able to be done there. But yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, so hopefully CJ Uzama can play. Hopefully it's close to whatever percentage of himself. Obviously, they're going to, shoot him up with the good stuff if it's any possibility. Today he was on the rehab field, out of the brace and doing, on the bike and working on the side. So I mean, when that happened, I was like, oh shit, he's done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it did not look good at all.
Didn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. All right. So we're only worried about the Rams injury news because I don't really know enough about them, and I'm gonna be speculating about the Rams up before the game. But yeah, that would be big if CJ can come out with a Willis Reed. Thank you. All right. Also, on my week of consumption here, about the media takes on the Bengals being in the Super Bowl, and there's been some pretty poor takes. I've run some people that I am fond of on here, Bomani Jones, Michael Wilbon, people that I'm really fond of in their sports opinions who are just, flat out hating on the Bengals being in this game. Have you heard anybody that you know and respect that has just been saying some outlandish shit about the Bengals?
Just as for the most, actually, I was just started listening really to yesterday and today was the first time I started listening to people because I was still in shock. And everybody that I was listening to was like, hey, the Bengals that I believe in this team. They made great moves over the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that wasn't what you were saying about 10 weeks ago. Or whatever. Yes. But I haven't heard too much negative. I've kind of turned these things off for the most part.
Well, a lot of it was, especially in the immediate aftermath of the game. Patrick Mahomes, he must have been hurt or something like that. Or, what were they saying? The Chiefs lost the game. The Bengals didn't win it. That whole take, Bengals are more lucky than good. Those types of takes, and then all the stuff about the, Bengals being cheap, bringing up the old stories, the lack of the dome, the inside dome, and the old, sharing jockstrap stories, the old, can't take Gatorade home story, like all of those old school.
Buy your own TV.
Yeah. True or not true, not true, exaggerated or not exaggerated, just bringing out like stuff out of the archives. And, again, nobody's going to say that this is the great ownership group, but obviously it's gotten better over time. And that's probably not, it's probably the fact that they've done better over time the last few years. Oh, what's the other one? They have the smallest scouting department, like that, all of those types of things. Yeah, that's a classic too. They just don't even have enough scouts. I listened to a podcast the other day. The Bengals have 8 total scouts, and the other teams got 30, 25 ridiculous scouts. But I mean,
hire me.
If you're in the Super Bowl and the team that got 26 scouts ain't in the Super Bowl,
maybe you might want to save a little bit. They ain't probably getting paid a lot, or maybe they are.
But maybe they are. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to justify all those extra jobs when somebody, Hey, that was the other thing. I don't
want to be unemployed, but I don't know what you're doing.
That's the other thing. Oh, the Bengals hit on all their draft picks. I'm like, no, that's definitely not true either. Right. They hit the last 2 years, that's for sure. But there were previous years where there were no hits. Lots of whiffs and misses, and
not even close.
Hell, that's the reason Marvin Lewis don't have this job. One of the many reasons is that there was just a bunch of years that they missed, and it just finally caught up to them. They used to have one of the deepest rosters in the league, and they were winning. And when they couldn't draft anymore or didn't draft well, it wasn't deep, and that's what wound up losing, and running Marvin out of town. So, yeah, but that was that. Just kind of those media takes. Some people are, getting on board. I even saw Stephen A, giving praise, and I hate Stephen A.
Not his best, whatever either.
He's a Steelers fan too, so that explains a lot.
I think he's a front runner.
Well, I enjoy his cowboy trolling. I do enjoy that. But yeah, all right. So here's the poll question that I put on Twitter the other day, and I've got to get your take on it. I think I know what your answer will be, and we'll probably be in disagreement here. All right, so Super Bowl week's coming. Everybody's headed out there. Obviously, a lot of former Bengals will be put in front of the TV. Probably mostly you'll see Chad everywhere, TJ. I even saw Carson Palmer was like, hey man, go Bengals or whatever too. You can't come back home, Carson. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. You burnt the bridge hard.
Well, keep going. I got
But
something
but I'm just saying, like, so there's gonna be a bunch of people out there. Well, Carson lives in California, so they're gonna get him. But my poll question was, all right, so shit was bad for the last 5 years of Marvin. First 2 years of whatchamacallit was bad. You had a lot of hanger-ons, or what we would call Marvin guys that were still there that they eventually wound up running off via trade, cuts, whatever. But some of those dudes were the backbones of that 5-year run of being to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The poll question was, do you invite Marvin and his guys to be on the sidelines for this game? And by Marvin guys, I mean like Gio, Carlos, AJ, like those dudes, Dalton. Do you invite them to be on the sidelines for the game, or do you leave them off and and don't even worry about it? Because Chad will be on the sideline.
Well, Chad will
like,
be there.
Yeah.
I don't think Andy Dalton showing up. But the answer is yes. I say invite him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did set a foundation, and there should have been at least 2 playoff wins out of that group. I don't know how it was almost impossible not to get 2 wins. But yes, bring them all back. That'll make the party that much better when we win.
Okay. So I thought we would disagree on this. I was almost 100% certain you'd be like, leave that mojo off the sideline. I agree. I think you should bring them all back, or at least invite them.
I don't think Andy Dalton showing up because has he even tweeted anything?
I think he did. Yeah, he did.
I haven't seen it or heard about it.
Yeah, pretty much everybody did that you would think that would. Like AJ did. Like AJ's like, I had to reactivate my Instagram account just so I could say, essentially go Bengals. Mm-hmm. AJ did, Carlos did, Gino doesn't do anything, Stacks don't do anything, Gio, a lot of the former dudes, have really, been like, hey, let's go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I think that is the move. Even if you don't have them on the sideline, you should definitely have them in the luxury boxes or whatever. Like, because they are,
that might be pushing it to luxury boxes. But okay, sure, but bring, and you're gonna have Icky there too.
Yeah, and Boomer and Kenny Anderson, like all of those dudes should be whatever there.
It's like, right. If this franchise wins the championship next Sunday, then everybody's invited. I can't. Hell, even fucking Mr. Throw My Shit Up into the stands is invited.
Corey, yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. But I'm basing it really like on kind of Marvin's extended run, but like the dudes that are just flat out Marvin guys.
Now, and Marvin, bring Pac-Man back?
I don't know that he's necessarily a Marvin guy, but probably yes.
He'll try to show up.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you should, I think. Look, is this Who Day over 40? We've been here for a long time. And again, it didn't end well, and there were some years where it should have probably ended before. But without Marvin and his patience and his cajoling, his whatever, the Bengals might lightweight still be in the past, sharing jockstraps, Gatorades, and whatever. And he brought them into a modern form of at least a mediocre to average NFL franchise once he took over. And without that, the job for anybody else, let alone what he handed off to Zach Taylor, would have been an absolute shit show. So I think there should be a moment of gratitude and a moment of recognition for those players and his coach for happening.
Yeah. Yes, they should be recognized. For some reason, there'll be like a 5 to 7 minute whatever at the ticket parade saying,
Hmm.
"Yeah, let's give a shout out to Marvin and
Yeah.
his 5 to 6 years of good football.
Yes.
Yay!
He was there for what?
Don't touch the trophy.
Yeah, he was there for what? 15, 16 years?
15, 16.
Made the
He went
playoff
to
almost half the time.
there 7 times, and
Yep.
yeah.
That's in this franchise coming from the 90s, massively impressive. So,
That's. I mean, most franchises if they go half of 15 years,
right.
then that is very impressive considering that I don't think any of them people are going to the Hall of
And
Fame.
and again, where they came from, like, updating like the weight room, like all of that stuff was all Marvin.
Right.
And again, we had a conversation earlier about, well, if they had opened up the checkbook for Marvin, like the way they just did for Zach the last 2 years in free agency, it's a possibility that they would have won a playoff game because they would have gotten some pieces that they would have needed to cover up, as opposed to trying to sign C-level free agents and or draft picks to fill those spots. But he's gotten to a certain point, and that's I think that should be recognized. So but again, like I said, I'm not an unsuperstitious person. I don't know if I want all that bad mojo on the sideline either. I understand that part too. If somebody said no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could understand that too. I mean, they might be a distraction. They might. Well, I know. I'm guessing that Chad Ocho, whatever he is,
Yeah.
right. He want right. Yeah, I mean, we got business to take care of.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not, again, this ain't college. This ain't like all the former players on the sideline type of situation. So that's what I'm saying. But do you, and make them a part of something of that? Again, luxury box, something. But to have them
the
there.
ticker tape parade, put them in the next to last car.
Come on.
And let them
Yeah.
come on through.
Yeah.
And
As they go through Dealey Plaza. Come on, man. That's awful. That's terrible. All right. So yeah, that was the poll question. But honestly, on Twitter, it was mostly like, don't put these people out on the sideline. I was surprised. It was like 83 to something, like 17%. So yeah, I was surprised. All right. So let's talk about the game as a little bit of a look ahead. Just a couple of things. Do you see any advantages that the Bengals have? I have a couple. Do you see any advantages that the Bengals have, or any disadvantages that they have?
The advantage is that, I mean, well, they're the home team. I guess they get the nice lockers. Or so it's, I mean, after you get past the Chiefs, everybody else you could play ain't the Chiefs. So I think they have everybody else you can. I don't expect them to put up or think they can put up 24, 30 something points in a half. That's, I mean, the number is 24. It's been 24. You keep the other team under 24 or at 24, you can win, Jesse. You can win.
Right. Yeah. I think the Bengals, and you're going to surprise on one of these, I think obviously they have the quarterback advantage for sure. Like, that's not, anybody that tells you otherwise is lying to themselves. That's just a given. But I also think they might have a lightweight coaching advantage too. And even though this is McVay's second time in this game,
right,
it's not like that Zach Taylor isn't 100% familiar about what McVay wants to do. He was the quarterback's coach. He was the wide. Yeah, but think about it like this: McVay doesn't know him. All he knows him as is the receivers coach and the quarterback coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know him as, what kind of plays he's going to call or whatever. He just knows him as one of his assistants. It wasn't like he was the offensive coordinator calling the play. So now
I think they have a relationship. I mean, they definitely have a professional relationship, but I think they know each other. They got some, you kind of know the people that you work for, and they should know you. I mean, the names of the wife, the names of the kids, or I think you do, you should. I think that there is going to, they know each other. I don't think it's an advantage for either one of them. I think they're going to even out.
Right. Yeah, I think those are two advantages or whatever. I think some disadvantages are experience. I do think coaching in that game before, as well as the fact that he got himself and his high-powered offensive genius embarrassed by, I think, what they scored 6 points against the Patriots in that loss.
3 points.
Yeah, it was not good.
13
And
to 3.
so there's that. And that, and I think the experience of being in the big game, there are some players that have been in that game that it's not going to, be overwhelming for them. Your Von Millers, your Aaron Donalds, at least on the defensive side, they've been through this, and some of the players that, were on the team that lost a couple of years ago. So I think that is an advantage. I don't know that the Bengals have anybody with Super Bowl experience. Did anybody they bring over played in this game before? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So they don't have any person that's been in the game except for Zach Taylor, who was the Rivers or the whatever quarterbacks coach or whatever it was at the time. So I think that's a big advantage for them because they'll know how, they should.
What do you think about our former left tackle?
I mean, I think he's been pretty clear that this is going to be his last game. And, from what I see and read, he's kind of on his last legs. And I think that probably Trey Hendrickson could probably take advantage of that at some point. We'll get into it later in the week or whatever. But look, Matthew Stafford, and I mean, we're going to just put it on 100 because that's what we know. We lived through his era at Georgia. It's not like he wasn't a good quarterback. He was, but
he's a beloved dog here.
Yes,
and most of the Georgia people are rooting for the Rams because half their team is fucking still got Georgia ties.
Yeah,
like
but
6 or 7 players.
But also in his time while he was there, it wasn't like, the bigger the game got, the better he played. It was quite the opposite. And so in Detroit, he was that dude too, like he made the playoffs the one time. But there's gonna be you're gonna get an opportunity to, one, sack him because he can't really move, and then two, he's gonna put the ball in danger, and you need to make those interceptions and and turn him over. That's it.
And he had a Hall of Fame wide receiver, to carry him, and they still figured out ways to
lose.
Yeah.
And then again, look, and Detroit's a terrible franchise. We know that. We know terrible franchises. We certainly know and can relate. But it's just going to be an opportunity there. Like I said, that's why the Bengals have the advantage. And again, the bigger the lights are for Joe Burrow, the better he plays. So I don't think if they wind up losing, God forbid, it'll be because of Joe Burrow. I don't think that'll be the reason. So let's get it on, man. 8 days away. I'm excited. I'm nervous as hell. I'm not 100% certain. If you've been listening to these last few weeks, I'm not 100% certain I'll make it to the end. I would really like to. I would really like for that to happen without me having, a heart attack. So, yeah. All right, man. So 8 days. We'll probably get at least one more in here before the start. How are you on Super Bowl Sunday? Because we haven't been in this position, obviously, in years. How are you on this? Like, because even when the team isn't in it, like generally speaking, one, I'm not cheering. I generally don't care. So I don't watch any pregame stuff, like not a minute, not a show, not like literally nothing. And I don't think that's going to change even with the Bengals in it, because I just all that talking from like 9 in the morning and the kickoff ain't until 6. I just can't take it. What do you think?
I'm not a big fan of all that yappity yap. I usually watch these football games with the sound down.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not. Yeah, I don't like all the pregame. I don't watch the halftime shows usually.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the postgame. So that's me.
Yeah, the pregame performance. Oh, they're gonna do America Beautiful, but then the other one's gonna do the Star Spangled Banner. I'm like, I can't take it. Like, just get me to the kickoff. The kickoff here is the coin toss is sponsored by. I'm like, oh my God, just end it, please, God. So I don't anticipate that changing. So I will need looking to try to do something with myself for all of those many hours before that happens. So there's that. But we'll get to it when we get to it. And I mean, again, when the Bengals win, not if, when the Bengals win, there will be a very strained voiced, probably emotional podcast that comes on after that from the Who Day Over 40 crew.
It might be a 2-day window because
yeah.
I lost a little bit of my life
right.
last Sunday. So yes. I have no right. If we win the Super Bowl and it's
win,
Lord, you know, hey,
win. No ifs. When they win the Super Bowl,
you gotta watch a whole game first.
I don't know.
Yeah,
they still winning without me.
Yeah. Anyway, when they win the Super Bowl, I will be so whatever. I mean, I'll be cray.
Yeah. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to bringing y'all that podcast when they win. So, Who Day, everybody. All right, you got extra music, man?
Damn it.
Well, he's thinking about that, by the
California
way.
Love.
Oh, okay. They're performing in the Super Bowl,
right,
Dr. Dre. Yeah, okay. I can deal with that. Hope the Tupac hologram don't show up. It might, yeah. And yeah, while we're queuing up California Love, if you haven't done so, try to ask your Google or your Alexa, hey, Google or Alexa, who's going to win the Super Bowl? You will probably be surprised by the answer. So just go ahead and do that when you get a chance. It won't play well over like a Zoom video, so I won't really do it here. But yeah, go ask for sure. All right. So as Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac start to play us out here. Yeah, damn. R.I.P. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Other one lost half they loot.
Yeah, R.I.P. to your bank account.
Half my fucking beat pill just stopped working, so I'm pissed off.
Of course. All right. So as that is starting to play us out, I am producer of this podcast. I'm producer Shiesty, like this week, not Joe Shiesty, but producer Shiesty. I'm producer Shiesty, and I'm signing out. Hutch, go ahead and sign off.
Bet the under and Who Day.
Who Day, everybody. We'll see you next week for sure, and hopefully Sunday, probably
Monday morning,
11 o'clock. Sunday, 11 o'clock.
That's just going on to about, it'll be 11:30 by the time that shit go up.
We'll see you for the aftermath. Peace, everybody.